So I want to welcome you to the virtual read-along of Women of Color in Tech, a blueprint for inspiring and mentoring the next generation of technology innovators. 7th and 8th grade girls from the GLIST organization, Girls Leading in Science and Technology, get exposure to the lessons learned in the tech industry. Chapter 1 was the current state of women of color in tech. Chapter 2, the different flavors of tech careers. Chapter 3, industry and other options. And this week, Melina and author Susanne Tedrick, we are joined by Kathy Lajoie Malik. Kathy, welcome.
Thank you. I appreciate being joined here by two, honestly, great job. I've watched the prior weeks.
Well, we definitely think that you're going to make a great addition to this conversation, primarily because we're looking forward to emerging technologies in this next chapter. So if you don't mind sharing, so our GLIST girls will know a little bit about you and your background and how your experience ties into emerging technologies.
Oh, happy to. So quick view. So I am someone who's been a technology program manager for a lot of years for some pretty large global programs, but it didn't start that way. My career started in the aerospace industry. I studied for my bachelor's and my master's in aerospace engineering is how it was called, at one university, in aeronautical and astronautical for my master's. So that's a system of system thinking, and that is a powerful tool. I haven't been bound to the sort of the aerospace industry after the first 10 to 15 years of my career. While still at Lockheed Martin, I joined the commercial consulting part of the organization. And then I led an advanced database technology group. Why? Because I happened to have been somebody who used relational database technology when it wasn't out there as much to do a mission critical solution needed for a satellite launch. Great fun. And that led me to a group that had relational database technology, advanced database technology, a lot of training and mentoring, which was great fun. And then I shifted to business development and big proposals. That led me into the consulting world and focused on New York. Why? Because lots of technology is used in the businesses within New York City. Living outside of Philly, could get there, get back, or stay there. Lots of choices. New York Stock Exchange, I was consulting there and then went on board. Was there to lead the program that brought us from being mostly manual to mostly electronic. Pretty exciting to see some technology used this year for the first time that was created while I was there, related to being able to run when nobody is on the trading floor. We saw that during this era of COVID. It had been created and tested, but not used. So various financial services programs following that experience. And over the last little more than a year, I've been sort of retooling and doing a portfolio of different things, serving in multiple boards, doing some fun things that I enjoy, retooling in some areas, and contributing between DC and Boston in some new technology discussions for various organizations.
So I knew that Susanne would hear New York and there would be an immediate connection. I knew it. I knew it.
Absolutely.
So, Susanne, what do you want readers to focus on as they're reading through chapter 4?
Well, kind of how we were talking about the different varieties of careers and the different industries. Now we want to focus on where are the different technology areas that you can become a subject matter expert in, or just have some high-level knowledge because that's really going to be the thing that differentiates you from other people in the job market. So talking about cloud computing, talking about artificial intelligence, augmented reality, virtual reality. These are the areas that are slowly or even fastly becoming the dominant areas for a lot of businesses. And you want to keep your focus when you're developing those technology skills on what's going to be in favor now and years from now versus the things that are falling out of favor. I talk a little bit about accepted technologies, things that we've always kind of kept using. So email being one of those examples. Like, we've used email for forever. And dating myself, I remember when email was a thing. You know, and I got my AOL address. I'm like, oh my goodness, I have email. This is awesome. Exactly, like this was a thing. You know, but we're slowly becoming where email is the norm now, and we're finding other ways to communicate with one another. So that can be through text message, that can be through social media platforms. So just really starting to get into that mindset of being more future thinking, forward thinking, and really developing the skills that are going to keep you as a relevant and in-demand technical professional.
Well, as a reader, speaking from that perspective, I loved this chapter. It was probably one of my favorite ones so far, because emerging tech is such a hot topic. And you see it everywhere. But I gotta say, what I appreciated the most was the clarity and conciseness behind all of the definitions that you gave in this chapter. I'll say specifically for, AI and machine learning and deep learning and the difference between those three, and the example you used with the chat box to really, emphasize and make those differences. I cannot tell you, I have asked peers, I've asked experts, I've asked professors to explain to me what AI, machine learning, and deep learning are. And I cannot tell you the amount of follow-up questions I had to ask to actually get to the bottom of it. It is like innumerable. And the reason why I say that is because I think it is so important to be able to actually have these, I don't want to say simplified, because I think you did really get to the core of what it is, but to have it in such an understandable way, because when we, kind of look back at the purpose of the book, it is meant to, not scare away anybody from these fields and these topics, and to say, yes, you should go and learn more about this. Yes, this is something you can understand, that everyone can understand. And, even like, it is the highest level of tech. It is the most impactful, when we talk about AI and Internet of Things, for better or worse. And you readers and some of the 8th graders, especially with your programming knowledge, it is something that you're more capable of understanding. And I think that, learning, like reading through these definitions and their examples, I think it really kind of encouraged that. But I did want to ask, because you did kind of mention at the beginning, kind of, defining what's considered an emerging technology and an accepted technology, and how email is now more so accepted. When I read that section, kind of the first question that came to mind was, would you, and this is for everyone, would you consider social media to be an emerging or an established technology? Because I figure, like, it's been out there, for quite a few years, but I don't know if we really know its impacts yet, or its longer term. So that was one thing. That was kind of one question I wanted to ask.
Good question.
That's a great question. So I think we've accepted that social media is what it is in terms of its longevity and its power to inform people, to inspire people. I think that's been established. Accepted, I don't know, because when I think of accepted, I mean that as it's a part of our day to day. We've accepted this technology as something, as a means to an end. So like with email, you can readily tell if someone's read an email, and you can use that, like from a legal profession, to serve people, with documentation, or, like things of that, like that's when I think of accepted. When I think of social media, like we've accepted that it's there, but not necessarily as a means of regular commerce. Like we don't serve legal papers through direct message. At least I hope we're not at that place yet. Be a little scary if that happens. I know that some social platforms you're allowed to exchange money, but that's not necessarily the primary reason why you seek out a social media platform. It's mostly just to engage in commerce. So I think that's a very thought-provoking question, but I don't know if I would necessarily say it's an accepted technology, but I'm happy to hear other thoughts on this.
It's a great question. Sometimes emerging technologies can become a standard before all the work is finished. Just saying. There's probably still more work done. And that could mean including other emerging technologies in order to make it better, such as Ms. Tedrick described, for the inclusion of AI to potentially help capture and identify harmful language that should not be further promoted. And certainly it's a great example of a disruptive technology. It certainly has altered the way a lot of work got done. If you think about people who were in marketing not that long ago, the way they do their work today is quite different because of social media. The way people communicate and stay in contact is different. So I think I would put it in the almost post-emerging category at this point, if there is such a category.
Absolutely. And maybe by then, social media will become by far an accepted technology, as well as all of the ones that we talked about. And there will be newer ones too that we haven't even dreamt of yet that are coming at the fore. So I'm excited to see those days.
Absolutely. So ladies, thank you once again, Kathy, Elena, Susanne. Thank you again for making time to preview Emerging Technologies, Chapter 4 of Women of Color in Tech, a blueprint for inspiring and mentoring the next generation of technology innovators. We want to thank the Pollination Project that supported this effort. And GLIST girls, if you can't wait and you have to read ahead to the next chapter, we absolutely understand. Next week, we're previewing Chapter 5, Building Your Network. So enjoy Chapter 4, and we'll see you next week.